Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Alchemist and The Oracle, a space where we engage in spiritualized conversations that deepen understanding, inspire transformation, and spark meaningful dialogue about life's most profound truths. I am Nicole, love the Oracle, and as always, I'm joined by my amazing co-host. You are right there. Oh my God!
I did like a little laughter at the beginning of the set. Oh Lord!
I'm so red. I hardly ever turn red.
Well, I'm ready now. I'm all ready.
Oh my God! Oh, do you want to keep that in, or you want to re-record?
Oh yeah, I got to get online. Woo! Okay.
Do you want to try that again, or just keep going?
We're good.
What?
We're good. No, I'm fine. That's fine.
Okay, that's her over there.
They ain't gonna get it because
amazing co-host Warrior Ardeshir. Her and the Alchemist. Oh my God, I'm dying.
That was let me change my little. I just try to get a little food in. It was some tissue. I was covering my.
Okay, so
I'm at the bar protecting my drink.
Welcome to today's episode, today's conversation. So today, we have a little nod to what we're going to be talking about based on the Warrioress background. We're going to be talking about the 5 love languages. And so it's a book that's written by Dr. Gary Chapman, and this book was written in 1992. And he talks about there's 5 love languages that everyone essentially has one that's predominant. So today we're going to talk about that. We're going to go through the 5 love languages. I'll put a link down below for you to take the quiz on the website to determine your love language. So,
very important.
My question to you, Warrioress, is what is your dominant love language?
Oh God, I got stories.
Just what's your dominant love language? We'll start there. Like, what's your
quality time? And
okay.
My second one is acts of service, but we won't get there yet.
Okay, so my dominant one is acts of service, and quality time is
just the opposite.
Right there, yeah. So quality time. So we have quality time and acts of service. That's so interesting. We both have those top 2. So the other ones, just to kind of tell people what they are: words of affirmation, physical touch, and receiving gifts. So the 5, just to kind of, you have words of affirmation, you have quality time, you have physical touch, you have acts of service, and then you have receiving gifts. So I'll leave a link for you all to like go in a little deeper, a link to look at the quiz, and then I'll also provide a link that I'm referring to right here from Simply Psychology. It breaks down the love languages in one location because the website has changed. Can't just like go on and find it as much. But where do you want to start in this conversation?
Now we can just go in order. I definitely recommend them getting the book as well. I actually read the book this time through the audio, but getting to that, some of these are kind of personal, and I mean I kind of get where he goes from them. So I would say words of affirmation, which is a lot of some people's dominant love language.
That's my partner's love language. And for me, it's all the way down at the bottom. Because when you take the quiz, it gives you the percentage too, and I don't remember my percentage. And this one was like very, very low.
You grabbed my book. Okay.
So words of affirmation. Okay, let's start there. So I'll read what it says, how it describes words of affirmation. It says communicating affection through spoken and written praise, appreciation, encouragement, and frequent I love yous is what how this website defines words of affirmation. Do you
Yeah,
remember where it was in the breakdown for you? Well, we know it was at the
I have an
bottom.
old one. The new one, I didn't open it all the way up, but I would say words of affirmation. I don't think it was high. It might be a little bit lower for me. And it might be due to history or past because it has a lot to do with believing what somebody is telling me, and I don't believe them. So, you
That's
know,
so true. Okay, let's dig
there's a
into
lot of
that.
people that don't believe
I
that.
also feel like some of these love languages, like for me, I can recognize the challenge that I have in like me and my partner, we butt heads because mine is 100% not words of affirmation because of childhood trauma. My dad would say things and he would say things and he wouldn't follow up. So for me, words don't mean a
Facts.
damn thing. So that's not my love
Facts.
language. And so
Oh
it's
my
such a
God.
challenge for me at the beginning in how he expresses his love to me is through like, oh, you know, saying certain things or what have you. And I'm just kind of like, okay, that's great, but that don't do nothing for me. But for
Yes.
him, oh my God, girl, like I can say like the littlest, like you're doing so great. And his face just lights up. Whereas I'm like, if he was to say that to me, I'm like, okay.
Mhm.
But it goes back to that trauma that I experienced from my dad. And I see you
That's
reacting in that way. So how has that been your experience?
well, I mean, it's
Ooh,
just
she's stuttering, y'all.
that we are so connected like this. This is interesting. I love my father. I talk, I gather with him, but I deal with the same thing. My dad used to hang out with his boys over here in the spot that I normally talk about here. And, it was fun when I got him. But when I was expecting him to come home, or say he did something, he didn't show up. So, and then
Mm,
I remember the one time that I got, and he came up. It had to be after midnight, and I waited and waited, and then he came upstairs, woke me up, and I didn't want to be bothered. I was under 10, didn't want to be bothered, and so right, the things that you say don't have as much value now. If I'm dressed or have an outfit on, and somebody say something, and it was hard for me to take compliments too. So, words of
yeah.
affirmation, taking
Yeah.
compliments was tough. And then you want to say it back, but you have to understand now I just receive it. So if somebody likes my coat or my something, I'm able to take it. I appreciate it, but it doesn't hit as, as it does for most people. I think that my first words of affirmation might have been that. Matter of fact, I'm sure of it, just didn't know about it. And that's why I think these love languages are important. I've had this book for a while. This book, I mean, stacks of it used to come up when back in the late 2000s, middle 2000s. This book was in one of the spiritual stores and all that, where it was just stacks because the important, I think it's really important to this day. He even has a book for non-relations, like for friends, like for
Yeah.
us to know that. I think that's really important, and people don't know that. And I have an example with one friend who understands, because saying I love you, for example, people take that as some intimate or relate somebody trying to get what you know. I love you because of da da da, or maybe because me saying hi, we were speaking about that because you exist in the world. Most people
Yeah.
say, well, I love because of how you make me feel, your presence, conversation, which gets into this particular, my dominant love language. But words of affirmation seem to be so huge for certain people. Now, you wouldn't expect that for men because people have these ideologies of how man and woman, don't matter. So.
I have a I've had a revelation about words of affirmation when it comes to men. And
Mm-hmm.
I find a lot of men, this is very prevalent for a lot of black men. And I think it's a cultural thing. Um, black men, and this can be a male thing too. I do see it play out in other, cultures too. But
Yes.
I can only really frame it from my lived experience, just and such. So a lot of when you look at like young black boys, how they're socialized, and it's starting to change a little bit, but it still hasn't. Like I want to share like this teddy bear scenario, right? There was this
Mm-hmm.
little boy who my mom is known for making these teddy bears, and so she made a teddy bear for this little boy and this little girl in this family.
Mm-hmm.
Little boy was probably like a year older than his sister. I think he was like 7 years old, and the little girl was like about 6. And my mom gave the teddy bears, and she asked feedback, and the mother responded, "Oh well, we don't do teddy bears for our son. We just gave both of the bears to our daughter." And so the point I'm trying to make is that I think allow we've kind of created this space of little black boys not having something to like soothe themselves, to connect themselves. They don't really get a lot of words of affirmations. And
True.
um it's like, man up, be a man. That's not really affirming the honoring of who they are. Maybe they're more sensitive. And I think they are more sensitive. They're just told to be different in order. And it's been a protective mechanism. We've learned it
Yeah.
in slavery. Like, you need to man up. You don't have time to be a child, because children weren't allowed to be children. Because
I know.
black children were not looked as children. They were looked as commodity. They were looked as laborers, or what's the word I'm looking for here? Ownership, but something else. Um,
Um, it'll come.
I think you get the sentiment.
I
But my
do. Yeah.
point is, I've realized that a lot of black men never get those words of affirmations growing up, and they really do seek that in their relationships, especially with black women. And you know, Auntie E, as I like to call her, but Major Iyanla Van Zant, as you call her,
Mm-hmm.
she has reminded, like, we as black women sometimes are out of order in how we speak
Yeah.
to black men.
I agree.
And so I think for a lot of black men, they have a lot of trauma around the words of affirmations because they haven't really received that, and they really seek that. And so I had that revelation with my partner, and it made me kind of pause and reflect and look at the men in my life. And I was like, you know what? I recognize this in the other as something to be very prevalent, that this is their love language, that their inner child is craving to receive. So I feel like
Yeah,
the
because
love languages also hit at different levels as well.
yeah, I mean, and we have to get out of this. I think the word I want, well, it's not so much. I use stigma of male female roles.
Yeah,
This whole role about you should be this way and you should be that way is caused so much discord in
yeah,
relationships,
yeah,
because depending on how you've grown up, how you've come, how you've been raised, if a guy can clean the house better than the woman that he chose to be with, what's the big deal? There's nothing weak about that. And I want to get into, I guess this would be for another conversation, and I'll have to see, because I've been telling people to go to this thing with Trevor Noah about what they called him when he was overseas. Um, so I'll leave that for another one on how they think women are weak. So, when you look at that, nothing about certain criterias are that when you look at, words of affirmation, is really huge, because it's just like most of us know. I go from the book. He says the tongue has the power of life and death. So we've heard that, and, for many come have never learned the tremendous power of verbally affirming each other. Now, will I deny or, totally dismiss somebody saying, baby, I think you're beautiful, this and that. It just doesn't hit me, as much. And then there's a belief about what I believe about myself in reference to that. And then the history of people using words to try to get what they want from me, and things of that nature also plays a part. So if it's not the dominant language, it's not going to hit, and you're going to wonder why, that is, because most of the time, what I realize is with some of my other ones, and that one is what I expect to have from somebody else. And then you can know if I'm giving these type of services, that's kind of what I expect. And being a tourist, I'm kind of like that. So, and understanding that language. But I've known that my first one wanted that and wanted to do, but there's some insecurities, and there's a lot of baggage that we have to let go of too, to understand whether or not, if I say to you that, will you believe me, even if it is your dominant language. So I'm like, I love you, you need this type of words to feel secure, but somebody needs to know that. And now that we are where we are, I would be easy to know, because I think there's a friend of mine that there might be gifts, and then you don't know that. And I mean, you're not in a relationship, and I don't think you really have to be to understand a friend's love language.
Brought up gifts. Let's talk about that love language. So receiving gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And of course the page reloaded. Okay, we're back. So receiving gifts, giving meaningful surprises and symbolic presents to celebrate affection. That's how it describes receiving gifts. That's an interesting one for me. That one is like, I think 2%. Like, I remember that one was literally like 2% of the percentage, and it was down at the bottom.
I gotta go. Yeah.
I can connect it back to it's all my dad's fault, right?
You so funny.
I can connect it back to my dad, because he would give me like these gifts to make up for his not honoring his word. And so for me, it's not my default language, but I love to give things to people I love to give meaningful, thoughtful gifts. That's how I'll say the distinction. So since you mentioned you have a friend that's her love language, like, what can you share about your perspective in that being her love language?
Well, I just really figured that out because of a certain situation that went on about 18 months ago. And even more than that, and also affirmation and attention and things of that nature. If you want attention, affirmation is good with them. So I think it's both. And I don't do tit for tat. So the thing of it is that if you give something out of the concern and because you care, you shouldn't really expect anything back. The thing of it is that when most people are giving something, they kind of looking for something back. But my thing is you already know that I do gifts. I do gifts.
Yeah, you
Because in my
do.
heart, I think I do a lot of stuff. I think I'm all part of them love languages. But gifts, I like
So
giving that as
would you
a
say that
precincts.
that's your default? Because there's also too how you receive and you give love. I think the love language is very different. So would you say that on the flip side, like, your giving love language is gifts, is it kind of flips and moves up to the top?
It
You
definitely
do
can.
love
Acts
giving
of
gifts.
service is huge too. Yeah, getting them is really good. I think I like experiences more, like going to dinner or going to lunch. I like experiences that I
That's
still talk
quality
about to this
time.
day. Yeah. Oh well. Okay. Well, that defaults. Okay, so yeah, it
Which
goes
isn't a
back.
bad thing. It's not a bad thing. But what okay, so I can reflect back that I can recognize that you really do you love giving gifts to people, like physical, tangible, meaningful gifts to people. It
Yeah,
just brings you so much joy.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
I really do I recognize that with just in our interaction and just also listening to you sharing how you interact with like the people that are important or matter in your life and in your community.
yeah. I try to do it as like my brother, but then I see it don't open up, so I don't know. I think he's like getting in the field goal. He might tell somebody else, but he's like, he's like, I'm not emotional, all this. And I'm like, you don't want to be because you think you don't have to be. And, because you're a
Mm.
dude. He's living in that old school stuff that's causing suffering to me when you're not allowing, your love language or the essence of you to just be,
Mm.
regardless to how the world want to define you. And I think there's some younger men, younger generations who are realizing this from spending more time with their daughters and it doesn't matter whether you're heterosexual or homosexual or gay or whatever, but they're being more involved than the generations of like my father, who I believe didn't believe that his time needed to be spent. It was just providing. I think his might be what's coming to me now might have been acts of service. And then, but it was a whole cultural thing then as well. So yes, gifts I think it might be a default one for me.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at what I think, also dealing with energy. And now I give a lot of crystals away. I mean, I kind of do that.
I do
And looked at
love
some of that
receiving crystals. That like if
because
you
see, I'm
give me a crystal, like oh, but it's less that I love you for it versus me like
right.
just appreciating this crystal more. So it's more of a selfish joy. Like oh, I got a crystal, yay!
I look for some unique stuff because I know you have them. It's like,
You can never have too many crystals. So if you find a crystal that you feel like is like, hey, send this to Nicole, you can send it my way. I'll find a place
okay.
for it. It always crystals have a home with me no matter where or what's going on.
Yeah, I never thought I got into them, and before I knew what I didn't know, of course, all of us have a certain,
Some crystals.
yeah,
Mm.
turned our nose up to stuff we ain't really understand, so I don't do that no more. But, you know, um, love languages, man, so deep as I'm going through and re-going through how important they are. More important than you can imagine, because he makes some examples in some of the areas where people, when they're dating, they're doing one thing that might be the love language of the other person. They don't realize when they get married, they stop doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, that bait and switch.
But they don't know that that's the case. They think they're trying to give it. So when we think about like gifts or affirmation and realizing, and even the gift of yourself, the presence. Some people just they want to be gifted by your presence. So he talks about
Quality time.
different dialects in them, because I just rehashed over the gifts. It might not be as quality time as people think that your presence is a gift for them, for you just to be in their presence. So one of the examples as far as gifts, this might have been, I hope I don't mix it up, but he's talking about the different dialects. So some of it might be, this one wasn't quality time so much as the gift for having that person be present, like at a birth. So this one example was he was there for the birth, but he went on, and his thing was he wanted to go tell all the boys. So like I said, he goes into a lot of different things, but the present and the gift for her, not only with the baby being present, was his presence to be there, was the gift of him being there in this moment for her. So, and we don't really think of being our presence that it would be something of a gift for somebody, which is a different dialect of gifting versus the physical gifts or giving a dozen roses or something like that. So there's different details. So it'd be good, like I said, to still get the book because this book is very prevalent to life, relationships, and things of that nature. And gifting, you know, me as a Taurus, I wouldn't I wasn't into gifts because he mentioned something about there's certain people who have a certain thing when it comes to saving and this, and I'm not a real spender. It has to go shopping. Hell, my mom and about my and people did clothes. I'm not the shopper you think I am, and now I really ain't because I'll miss my silk clothing. I got clothing because I can't find
you
my
like
silk.
nice things. You'll spend
I
money on
do.
nice things, not on junk.
Yeah, that. So yeah. If it's not, yeah, that's it.
I know. I've read your chart.
So at the time, I wasn't about really spending money on just going shopping. It
And
definitely has to be unique and yeah, and my people might say flashy, but I don't think if it gets my attention or turns my head. If I see red, it turns my head. Now, let me see if this red any good, like a car. And I'll be like, oh, okay. And then just keep it moving. But, so gifts do everybody, I think, to a degree likes to receive gifts, but if it's not your primary love language, then it's just not even worth the person kind of really going out there and doing that because it doesn't resonate with you in such a way, just like words of affirmation. But most people I know that I run into, words of affirmation are huge. Even when I don't know you, just to acknowledge somebody's presence or say I love your outfit or you just have a beautiful smile, you know, can change a day for someone.
mm,
Gifts are a little bit more personal when you've had the interaction with someone and you think that you might have something that might make their day. And some people like showing or talking about, oh, such and such gave me that. Such and such, my honey gave me that, or something like that.
yeah.
But there's different dialects, and he goes into the book, and I think he hits so much that this book ought to be something. And he gives little things for you to do, which means writing it down and things of that nature. So there's things that we just need to practice. I know there's something that Tony said this week, or they were talking about relationships, him and Sage. And so this time the Ride Summer is just on. And so a little bit of my ego, they were telling the one girl to do this with her husband. And so she's not feeling, any love from him. And I think he's just working, doing all these different things. So they tell her to go this, and my ego's like, well, where the hell does she got to do all that to try to do this? But sometimes what they were saying is for her to do things that she think that he might love, and to do this for such and such a time, not so much of what you want to do, but so you're taking yourself out for the other person. And so we have to get out of our ego mind, which would say, oh, why I got to do that? Why I got to do that? Because when Sage was saying for her to do that, my brain was like, oh, but I realized that that's the ego and the me, or the I of you saying, okay. And then I know I've given a lot, so mine be like, yeah, I mean, it's time for me to start receiving versus all the giving I've given. And
Mm.
so you have to look at it differently if you're still in a loving relationship. And basically, they were trying to get her to kind of figure out some things that might draw him, which was a love language. Can't remember which one, but there was just something that came up, and they always talk relationships anyway. and the examples and forgiveness and, letting yesterday go. If you've done forgiveness, then you have to be okay with letting that go, because we're not perfect. And we expect for everybody to be perfect and not make mistakes. Now, there's certain choices that certain people couldn't get over. Cheating might be one of them, or some. It just depends on the nature of your relationship and why that happened. And most people can tell you why that happened, not unless, I don't want to go there, not unless you're just a hoe. But I just, I don't know, but it's kind of, there's always a reason behind the behavior, as you know, there's the behavior. So your behavior, and you have to constitute what that is and why that is, and be able to sit down and do that.
I
So
think
gifts,
you
and
definitely have to like advocate for your relationship. I think
yes,
that's kind of like what popped up when you were sharing the story of like Tony Robbins and his wife, with relating to that woman. It's like you do have to advocate for your relationship, and if you're in a relationship with someone, you have to relate to that person. You have to be in communication with that person, not sitting there like, you didn't get me this gift, or you didn't tell me I was pretty. It's like, but you're not telling the other person and you expect them to read your mind. It's like, okay, how
yes,
can you
that
advocate
part,
for your needs?
that
Like,
part.
I'm feeling some kind of way, I'm going to advocate for myself here, and advocate by telling and expressing like, hey, so you didn't tell me I was pretty when I had this dress on. Maybe you picked out a dress trying to get their attention. Tell them. I think a lot of times we get caught in this loop of like, we've been together for so long, you should know what's in my head, or even not even
That
that. It's like, you should be able to read me. And it's like, I think that sets you up for failure. I'm
that comes
sorry.
up to another point, is not being able to express yourself. When we talk about the generation, now some people say, well, they didn't have that in a relationship, but technically, and he brought that up too, Tony brought this up, was a generation. It was a generation, I was part of it, and in the family of being seen and not heard.
Yeah.
So when something went down, I was not able, because I wasn't allowed to articulate myself or say what happened to me, or say what or speak or sit down. Why did you do that? What happened? This and that and the other. It's just like getting suspended school, being bullied. I'm like, well, I done took enough, and so, beat somebody's behind, because you wouldn't just let me be me and get in trouble for it and not be able to explain why,
Mm.
things of that nature. And then getting spanked for that, that's just no good. I don't believe in spanks and none of those things anymore. That is not loving touch at all.
Okay.
So
Speaking of
the kid,
touch,
oh God,
let's
we're going
go
there.
into physical touch. You said touch. So physical touch. This love language is showing care through intimate and affectionate physical contact, like hugging, kissing, and sex. So I know you had a strong visceral reaction, a little bit of resistance around this one. Do you want to go there? Do you have anything to add to it? Do you want me to continue on?
Well, yeah, physical touch. I mean, woo. Oh yeah, we had some conversations around that. There's a time where I had desired, physical touch. I mean, like, the easiest thing for most people is a pat on the back, or, that thing just to let you know that you care. But also, I've had it where it has not been, welcomed. Welcome. I got to get to know you. I'm that person, they got to get to know you. Now, I hug you. I'm a big hugger. I'm
You
a
just
huge hugger.
contradicted yourself.
Well, I can't help that, because
You
the other
okay.
part,
Okay, what I hear you saying is like you'll hug people that you feel safe to hug. Do you
mm-hmm,
just hug everybody by default? I think your natural nature is very affectionate.
mm-hmm,
Like when you
mm-hmm,
like feel, when you really are in your authentic self and not more in your spiritualized self, I'll say it that way.
mm-hmm.
You're very affectionate, giving, um, like above and beyond for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, like, now, if something, went down like there's somebody here who I would not hug anymore. I would do a fist bump.
There's just, I have very
Because
strong
of
feelings
something.
about physical touch.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think everybody earns to have a hug
as a
or
love
press up
language,
against my bosoms,
I will say physical touch. Like, I like to hug.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a hugger. I like to
Just
cuddle. I have my moments when I'm like super sexual. So for me, physical touch, I believe, was in the middle. It was a little bit higher. Um, for sure. But
yeah, I mean, physical touch is huge for so many, and people think it's just a woman thing, and that's why I have to get out, and the men have to understand that these languages touch. Now, I think me and you've had like off the cuff conversations about touch and sexual stuff. Now, I do recall that I'm a person who likes to touch without somebody expecting anything. If something's going to happen, it will happen, and they always looking at touch, to the sexual stuff. When you talk about cuddling, cuddling is cuddling. Rub my arm, do this if it goes.
she said, "I." You said so much without even realizing it. Okay, all right.
So
Cuddling is
you
cuddling.
know, he comes in and he talks about the different aspects of touch. And this, I didn't even have to read it. I already know personally, these aspects because I was talking about people that don't even know their bodies. And, I go to this movie called The 40 Days and 40 Nights. Know that movie? I'm not going to see it, but I'll give you a little excerpt of it so you can get a little something
Which
to
one?
maybe
Because
go
there's
look at it.
several. Which version are you talking about?
The only one that I've seen is the 140 Days and 40 Nights where the guy decides to go abstinence for 40 days.
Oh, that one. Okay.
And his ex and his other girlfriend that he finally leaves alone is trying to get him to break it. She really wasn't no good for him anyway. So
That
she wasn't
movie
no
was a bit
trouble.
problematic from what I recall. I was like, interesting. But
It was very interesting, the ending and him meeting the other woman. And eventually he had to share with her, and he felt uncomfortable sharing with her that he was choosing to be abstinent. And, I think abstinent is kind of good. You got to really get to know somebody. We end up in situations, that we don't need to be in. And physical touch is very intimate to me. It's very, very, it can be comforting, it can be sensual, it can be whatever. And so I brought up that movie because there was a part and people say, oh, I couldn't do that, where it was towards the end. You need to see it because what leads up to it is very important. But most people, the touch or doing something like this, and they had done it because he was abstinent, they got real intimate, and you used a feather, or you could use your hand, or you could use any dynamic, let me see, to touch. And there's so many different that doctor talks in the book, which I'm already aware we have different touches, and touches are not the same for everybody. And you can't just assume that the way that you like to be touched is the same that your partner or wife or that want to be touched. And this should be known before you get married, actually. So you would think, that don't
I
normally
mean,
happen, you would think, but I'm just telling you.
sometimes
So
we figure it out while we're married. So
well, yeah, you continue to grow and continue to learn, because then also the body changes. And that's why communication and expression is important. So they go with a feather and he does this and she continues the climax. But said, oh, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. I said, well, you don't know nothing about your body.
but
I said, you
maybe
don't know
they
nothing
do
about
know their
you.
body. But see, on the flip
Well,
side,
people just talking about they couldn't do it unless they just have intercourse, and you don't know that until you've had somebody really do that. I've had a oh god,
it
oh
sounds
god.
like to me that that's how you like that. That's the type of touch that you appreciate. I don't like to be touched like that. I don't.
See,
I don't. I don't like the
see,
tickly because
not tickle.
I
Oh no,
no. I
see,
don't
I'm
like
not
that
easy
type of touch.
ticklish.
Like I don't even like
Okay,
to be massaged. Like there's certain because I have
right.
a my energy, like I feel into energy in a
Yes.
very interesting way, and it makes my skin is very sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like gentle touching.
So you don't like to take the
Nope.
finger down the
I will
arm?
probably
Okay.
punch you.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
it's
That's
too
something that needs to
much.
be
It's
known. Okay.
I need more of like a firmer grip. So I get more contact. Like the gentle, no. It's just
Okay.
it's overstimulating. It may sound
So that's your different dialect. See, that's a different mode. And he speaks
yeah.
about the different ones that are on there. But unless you try it or don't know it, you can't say if you're really, really into somebody, how your body
Exactly.
might respond. And
Yeah.
then you can know that. It's just like some people don't want to be grabbed on a certain way. It's just a
Yeah, some
no.
people wouldn't want to be this. Like you
Mm-mm.
probably wouldn't like that. And I'm not saying
Oh,
don't
hell no.
also do not grab me because I will punch you in the throat. If I don't know you and we haven't been in communication in that way, which is only one person that I'm in communication in that way, do not touch me.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just those different modes, and you kind of have these conversations that people don't have, and know that it's not just about you. So this
Yeah.
language is about definitely knowing about the other person and what they like, and to do it because I had a situation where I'm just gonna do you're gonna do what you want to do, but that ain't what I like. So just a no. Where my no glasses at? Oh God, I need them
she,
downstairs.
y'all, she actually has them. Let me see if I can pull up a
And
picture.
my
Keep
no
talking.
glasses. The no glasses. So physical touch is dynamic, like holding hands. Some people don't like to hold hands. You have to know that, because if that's something that they don't like to do, but you're doing it for your spouse or your significant other, um, then you hold hands, because yep, them are no glasses.
It's a no for her.
It's a no. That's my core. That's just a no. So yeah, so no grabbing me. Just yeah, just
Okay.
a no.
So I also
So
want to acknowledge those who like for physical touching, they're in this stage of exploring what it is, what it means to them. So I'm not one to shame people who may be in a period of having sex with different partners, as long as it's consensual and you feel good about
yes,
it,
right.
that energetic exchange, then do you, boo, okay? Because I think it's
Mm-hmm.
important to find a way to understand, like you were talking about, like how is it that you like to be touched, learning what that is, so then from that understanding you can communicate that and express that to the person that you're in a relationship with, that you're in that physical touchy relationship with, if that's what you like. Some people don't like to be touched at all.
Mm.
They don't like to be hugged, they don't like to be kissed, some people don't like to have sex, and that's just not where they are. And I think
Right.
you have to honor people, and I also think you have to not push people out of their comfort zone when it comes to how they receive and they give love as well.
You have to find
Maybe
that
that's not
match.
the person for you to be in that type of relationship in that capacity.
Right. Agreed. You hit on something else. It's just like the conversations, like having making love or intercourse, however you choose to define that for you. I prefer making love, but so
Depends on the energy for me.
yeah, oh yeah, exactly. In the moment. But you have to understand that the partner that you get, now some people think that the way that they've had sex with somebody else is the same way you can have sex with the next person that you're in relationship with. And then even if you're in a marriage, it's just open to for exploration and learning. And that's why maybe, and some people in today would have a huge issue about what I'm gonna say, as most people, and my cousin said something, and she was with her husband for a long, long time, is not having sexual intercourse for months till you get to know to somebody, maybe even a year or something, because there's other avenues of physical touch and body language and intimacy that you can have before you get, because once you get to that spot of having actual sex, then that's a whole nother dynamic in the relationship as well. And it's a huge form of touch. The way you've touched somebody else in that area might not be somewhere you can touch your current partner. And that's where I believe that physical touch comes into play, of exploration and getting to know, because you don't want to cause discomfort to your partner. So, and dialects, and that is a different touch where he goes into that as well. But like I said, getting the book, I think you'll find very, 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 very valuable, to a relationship if you're in, or if you're not preparing to be into one, and observing the person that you might be dating. You can start looking for what their love language is, which would help, and see how you might match up or not, or whether or not you just be friends if they choose that.
Let's go over the last two as quickly as we can.
We can.
So quality time, expressing love by fully focusing attention on your partner through shared activities, conversation, and togetherness. And then I'm also going to tell what acts of service is, since this is our top two. Acts of service: doing thoughtful deeds and gestures to help make your partner's life easier by relieving burdens. So your top is which one of the two? Quality time or acts of service?
Quality time. They might. All right,
we'll start there. Level. And mine is acts of service. So tell me about quality time. What do you want to share about quality time?
Quality time is kind of huge, just because I'm such a free spirit, and sometimes I just like to go off and do my own thing. So the thing of it is that when we have that opportunity to be together, that it really is together. And like he talks about, and the idea of people think sitting and watching TV, that's not it. You get, watching TV, like he said, NBC and ABC can have your attention. Quality time is listen, because he speaks about, and I like intellectual conversation. Oh my God. So not only spend the time or sitting and having some music on, having a glass of wine, but talking, intellectual conversation, and looking how to grow forward, move forward, to see what we can do together to give, have fun, or make this world a better place is huge for me. It's sexy for me. So I find intellectual conversation stimulating. So, and spending that kind of time, or going out or doing something fun. I'm still a child at heart. We can go rock climbing. I can still do all this stuff. We'll go rock climbing, bicycling,
paddleboarding, skateboarding.
I have not been paddleboarding yet. Skateboarding, me and the hoverboard, just a no. So could I do a regular skateboard? Probably. It's been a minute. I don't know about getting on skates. There's something about my spirit that say, that ain't safe for you no more. And I used to fly around, do jump kicks and stuff like that. That is not
safe for you anymore. Oh.
Okay. I'm gonna try. We're gonna see. I got strength of some stuff, but yeah, I used to fly around, drop kicks. So going to like fun centers, I like shooting games. I think,
of course you do.
Like shooting games, and so I like challenging, go-kart racing. Watch out, I ain't no joke. So those are certain types of things, and just kicking it. Used to love playing board games. I got a couple of board games. I got 3 different Monopoly sets. One called Ghetto Monopoly. Did I really say that out loud? It's a cool game.
Oh my gosh.
I got the character one time.
What do the little pieces look like?
Oh.
Are they excuse me. Are they ghettoized?
Oh. Pimps and stuff. Oh God. And then I got in the character on one of them. I didn't know I could get in character. Girl. Yeah, so
well, we learning some stuff about you today. Stick with us. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel to continue learning more and more about this person. This person over here. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ghetto Monopoly. Why is that a thing?
It's just
What are
ghettopoly
the
because
names of, like, what's Park Place called?
you know what? I gotta open it up. I haven't
I'm
opened
so
it up
curious.
since
I
I
need to
played,
know. What does the money
since
look
I was
like?
over my
The
friend's
food
house.
stamps?
Oh God, I ain't played it in years.
That
There,
was
oh,
so. I'm sorry. That was such a
I don't know why I brought it up, but it's again, it just came
stereotype.
out.
It just came out?
It's deep. Ghettopoly. Oh my God, I have to go. I haven't played in a while since I played with a friend who's now down in Tennessee. And
Wow.
so,
This
but when I
conversation today has gone like all over the place.
well, quality time. But when I first was gifted it,
Ghetto.
I played with
I am
the.
writing that down. That is going to be a gift for someone that I know would love that.
Oh God, yeah, you can't buy it in the store.
I'm sure I can find it somewhere.
So I first played it with the person who got it for me. And then I got into character, but that was quality.
No, you got into character?
I didn't know it just happened by accident. I'm like,
Wait,
oh
how
my
does that happen
God.
by accident? Explain
It
that.
did. Ooh, this is not good because people think, I, mm,
Okay,
well,
we'll table
I
that for
ended up,
offline conversation. Is that what you're telling me?
I, I ended up playing the pimple.
I mean, who would have thought that that's not what you were going to say? Like, I mean, you literally try to wear a pimp hat every time you are on here.
Do I love my breasts?
Do you think
And
you
a
were?
black
Do
woman
you
made
think you
them.
were a pimp in another lifetime? And you were sent here to evolve and to higher consciousness and awareness of the importance of honoring the sacredness of sex?
Well, I don't know about that during this lifetime because I had some experience that just wasn't good.
And I'm saying that's the flip side of it. We just got really woo woo really really quickly. Welcome to our channel.
Yeah, yeah, well, yeah, it's our channel. Um, Possibly. I mean, I know from a child. I mean, I've been so caring and concerned, and I don't know why my soul life went through what it went through.
She went into
Um,
character. I'm still over the fact that you went into character
I
as the
I
pimp.
did.
Well, did you have
Well,
fun? Did you have fun?
oh God,
Did
yeah.
the other person have fun? I guess that's the better question since you were the pimp.
But see the words that come out of your mouth,
Oh, you were
not normal.
informed? Did you have a
Yeah,
cane?
but I have a cane, but I
I
didn't
know
have
you
it
do. You
then.
got some personality. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
That's
God.
life.
So,
That's subconsciously.
but I love everything about me. My friend, my mask is just dominant, but I love
Oh
everything
my
from
God. This
about me as
is.
well. It's just wild. So quality time. That was quality time. Games. We did that coming up. I mean, Monopoly was a big one. The game of life, all that kind of stuff. So doing that is really, really cool. I'm pretty competitive. I love to play the block thingy. And
Oh, Jenga.
oh God, yes. I
You are
think
super
I'm Master
competitive. You
Jenkins.
are really. I couldn't play with you. I'm the person that no one
I'm
wants to
better.
play a game with because I'm just not that. I don't care that much. And then I'm usually the one that's like winning. I'm like,
If somebody beat me is just good. It's just like my godson. It's just like you want to be the best, you got to beat me. So, I don't. If you're a child, I'm not gonna just allow you to win because you're a child. Because that's not how you win. Now, have I play pool. I'm pretty good at them, not bad. But if I don't win, I'm really good. I just learn. You just get better. It's just fun. It's just fun because I think that's just been a part of just fun. And I understand if I get it's just been so cordial now compared to yesteryear. But I am used to winning because we did, but we worked hard at it. And if we didn't, we knew, that the better person actually did. So quality time, acts of service. So, like
okay.
going places, doing things. I like people to do things like I have done everything. And he mentioned everything while I'm listening to audio in the book from person who did the cat litter box, who cleaned, who vacuumed, who did this and was working my butt off 1425, and then I need somebody to do a little something for me. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, grocery shop, I'm doing it's just sometimes you need to be able to say, just see somebody, baby, I got this.
I know, without you having to ask for it.
Yes,
like
that.
even that, like if you do
the
that,
acts of service part. Yeah.
oh my God, that's like that turns me on so much when my partner does something for me. He's like, oh, like he'll call me up and like, hey, so I'm gonna go and take your car to get an oil change. I'm like,
I did that too. I know about that.
oh my,
yeah, ain't that cool? Yeah, I know.
I'm like, okay. But see, this is also the importance of, and maybe we can finish out the rest of this episode talking about why it's so powerful to know your love language for yourself, but even more so for the person that you're in a relationship with, especially like those intimate ones. If you know your partner's love language is acts of service, right? Doing something for them, and it's just like, oh, okay. Maybe it activates the physical touch or the words of affirmation that is your love language.
Yes.
When you get into that flow state, you'll be in flow. And honestly, all five of these love languages will be activated in a way that you'll be giving and receiving in such a state of flow as well. You'll start giving gifts that you know the other person likes. Maybe you make you the gift, put a bow on. I'm the gift, and you can like do 2-for-1 physical touch and receiving gifts.
Yeah, because you can be the gift. I mean, another thing, like people take dancing.
That's
styling and profiling. Oh my God.
That's your love language?
That's one, yeah.
I've also heard people say love language, food is another love language. Like there's like other, I have to see if I can find this article that was talking about like other like real life tangible love languages. One was dancing, one was like food.
This is what Gary, excuse me, sweetie. This is what Gary calls this is the book. This is what Gary calls different dialects. So the dancing is quality time with some touch, because especially when you get into slow dancing, hand dancing, that people don't do no more, but that's some good stuff. And getting the slow dancing, breaking off hand dancing, and how, depending on how you do it, it's sexy. It just is. So physical touch and quality time. And then just think about if you go out, to a certain place, that's comfortable, and you go out and you go dancing. I don't like sitting around when I'm out. I have a cocktail, I gotta move. It's either throwing darts, doing something, or I can sit. It's only so long I can sit. And so, and to be in motion. So in movement. So yes, quality time, acts of service, huge. Going out doing stuff, and or doing something for others, if it's that thing that you can do. Giving, like I want to spend more time with my godson because he's getting older and he still thinks I'm cool. So, and he might even watch this. Thank you, baby, for thinking God Mama Tina's still cool.
Wait, how old is he? How old is he?
We're both towards this. He's 10.
He doesn't need to watch this episode.
Oh, well, he might. It's just a family.
No, baby. No, this is not the one for you. I'm so sorry. Call me if you need to unpack a traumatic experience that you may have experienced.
I don't know that he will. I don't think he will, but
that is interesting.
I know.
We were supposed to give him a shout out, but we're not going to shout him out in this episode.
Not this episode.
We'll do it in another one.
But he's a very, very, I think he has an old soul too.
What would you say is his love language? Because actually, on his website, there is a love language for children.
Oh, wow. He's really close to his mom. His love language. what is his? He likes to do a lot of stuff. So quality time, I think, might be a part of his.
I also, when I
Because
feel
he
into
hangs
his
out.
energy, I feel like words of affirmation are powerful
Yep.
for him too.
Yeah. Yeah. Words of affirmation. Yeah.
And I think that's
Because I do give
probably,
him that.
especially
I do
with
give him that.
kids really do need that because it's
I'm glad you mentioned that because he's
growing
got
up.
several books. Like I said, the non, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever,
Let me see
girlfriend,
if I
girlfriend,
can
boyfriend,
pull them
boyfriend,
up.
and then the children's one. And he mentioned something at towards the end. That's why they need to get the book about children. And then I go back and have to look at myself. That's why I don't believe in spankings, because I believe you can sit a child down and they need to be heard. They need to be heard. They need to be listened to.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these, like, they coincide, and all the other ones who aren't so much dominant come into play, where you can have a full circle, loving and lasting relationship. And communication is huge. And that's where the quality of time comes in. The listening, the verbal exchange, um, and getting to know what's going on and growing forward together, and honoring one another's presence and views and different things of that nature, which I think, talking and having discussion in the month of love is huge. And then going into our next one, talking about what love is.
Mm.
Nobody know what that truly is, so we gonna break it down.
So to close it out, got like about probably like 8 minutes left, give or
We
take.
got a little left, yeah.
Um, yeah, because you have to peace out.
I'm cool.
How would you say, what is the importance and the power of this resource in your life? How have you seen it be such a powerful awareness?
I think it's going to be more of a powerful awareness going forward, into, a relationship, because I'm not in one now, and that's by choice to do the work. I'm open. I'm open now, because of the things that transpired, the losses that occurred, and just getting into the truth of who I am. And when you look at these and going into that, I think that you can go into relationships, you can improve relationships, um, knowing these love languages and understanding. He has some perfect examples in the book. And matter of fact, one of them, he said he very seldom finds some, couples that have the same, dominant love language. And one of them was, acts of service, in the book. And there's different dialects, and actually both of this couple had the same dominant, but it was a different dialect for him and a different one for her in acts of service. And so,
Mm.
and that can happen. So I think that you come into relationship and love and taking your ego self out, and instead of the I, is more like us, or what can I do for you? And if that comes back and forth, then you can only win in that relationship. There's a huge amount of respect, a huge amount of honor, um, and that's how you show love. Nagging and all the things that he mentioned, some of all these things. Why you ain't do this? Don't nobody want to be come at like that. You know, heard you. You keep doing it. People will unconsciously, not knowing, but the ego be like, I ain't doing it. I can find something else to do, like washing the car, or doing this instead of painting the bedroom. you know, for example. And so, and finding out what their love language is. So I think everything comes full circle when I go through and I look at these, and that we all have a little bit of them in us. But the dominant one is where you get me, and you get the, the smile, you get the playfulness and all that. And I think that we need to continue to be kids. We adult enough. We're paying bills, we're working, we're doing all this. So we need to have a little playfulness in our
Do
all
the
our
little,
relationships, from friendship. Uh,
do the
so,
little
need to
playfulness.
have a little playfulness.
Yeah, I agree. Hmm.
So yeah, so have some fun. I mean, I remember being too serious. We take ourselves too seriously. And like, no matter what, Tony, Dean, Major Ia, Yana, it's always, well, find that child in your relationship. Don't give a freak about it. Because I told people, there's some people that's too younger than me, that's too old for me. I'm like, I'm too old to do that. Then
Yeah.
I'm like, you too old for me. You living life by the standards of man. I ain't got time for that no more. I ain't doing that. It's a no. So I like having fun. That's why I said I can kick with and keep me youthful. My grandmother actually kept us youthful. She was in her 50s playing tennis with us and kicking our little young behind. So yeah, we can age gracefully, and go back to a time in life that was, fun, and rewarding, and and not be so serious, in our aspects of, of loving and, giving and doing something. You have to take the ego out of it. It's not about the why I should do this. You're doing something out of the acts of love, out of respect. And if you can do that, then you're also respecting yourself as well. And you can give that love. So
Hmm.
um, so what do you think, my dear?
So for me, I I always recommend people to take this. It was something that when I was only taking when I was at the height of my health coaching practice, this was one of the tools that I would have them, the evaluation that they would take so they could understand what their love language was. And I also did that with myself and my partner. And so now that I know that his love language is words of affirmations and mine is so different, and then also the added layer of understanding why when he says certain things it's so triggering for me, because it's an inner child wounding from my dad. It gave me an opportunity to really start to heal those things. And I had to push myself to have a really challenging conversation with my partner. Like, hey, I recognize like words of affirmation, like saying things. That's how you receive love, but I don't receive it in a way right now that feels other than me having to go into protect mode. So I think these
I
love
understand that.
languages, knowing what your love language is, can be so powerful from understanding how you receive love, and also how you and who you're relating to in the world around you, whether it's an intimate partner, friend, children, co-worker, because we're in those relationships. So how are you receiving and giving from a place of love? So these love languages are really about, they provide the reminder of how willing and open we are to receive the love that we are very much deserving of receiving. So I think a lot of people also have the challenge of receiving love, and they can be kind of closed off from that. So
Also, yeah,
it's
you have
very
to do the
interesting.
work. You mentioned something, like from the past or childhood, or things with the people who were close to us, the ones who birthed us, the ones who
Yeah.
brought us, who birthed us in here, is to, go through those, sit and do that healing baggage, because we bring a lot into relationships that are unhealed. And Major Alana Van Zandt
All the
talks about
time.
that a lot.
all the time.
Huge, to overcome the suffering that you've been in, to not go in the past, to give forgiveness to somebody did something, somebody forgot the birthday and they were so bored they had to give forgiveness and they remembered the day. Allow them to still serve you, and not let us get all caught up in the me thing. And just, sometimes we have to remind people, especially if they're too busy. And he gets into that. That's why we have to make the time for one another. Even, and I have to look at even my relationship with my sibling. I'm gonna have to look at that love language, what that love language is, and giving that, and we just have to get out of the world. The world has caused so much stress, especially between the sexes, man, female, mostly how you are within. And if you go against your naturalness, you find yourself uncomfortable, stressed, anxious, and things of that nature, trying to fit in with what the world figures out how you supposed to walk in this world. You know how you supposed to walk in this world. We need to honor that. And I say that through experience. So, and seeing and being in the career that I was in, and honoring that, and getting people to see things differently, so they don't get in trouble, so they don't end up where they really don't want to be just because something crazy happened. So that's how we allow these languages, because like you said, it's all around. I'm glad you mentioned coworkers, people we spent 8 or don't know how many die, working with other people. I knew when I was working who I could give a shoulder rub to, and they really appreciated it because they were tense as all get up. And and who could do that back to me. So it's about knowing that not all other people can take a shoulder massage, so you have to know these things. So I appreciate you kind of reflecting on that part, because it's full circle.
Yeah, it all comes back to our capacity to receive love, and it always has a linking back to the foundation of our childhood. That root chakra development from birth is how safe and secure you feel in the world, how grounded you feel, and from that energetic rooting, it identifies your capacity, as I see it, like to soften into receiving and accepting the love that you deserve, and also the people around you. So figure out what your love language is. It can be really helpful just from the standpoint, be selfish here. Start there. Figure out what your love language is. How are you receiving love? How are you giving love? And also, too, how do you block the receiving and giving of love on the flip side? Because we got to put the work back on you guys here. Don't want to just talk to you.
That's true. We want interaction. Come on, y'all.
Activate, energize. That's the whole point of this conversation, is to encourage you to find out what that is and identify what block you have.
Yes.
And what are you fully open to? So
transformation. Transform yourself. Transform. All about transformation. And get to know your kids' love language. It might help you to understand them, because they have theirs.
Yeah. You got to understand everybody, but start with yourself. Start with yourself, because what I've learned is it softens you into receiving and giving love. When you understand how you give love, it starts to soften the edges, is kind of how I would say, just my own personal experience, and then also watching other people soften into love through like clients and such. Well, thanks so much for being in conversation with me, Warrioress. Ardeshir RN.
It's always a pleasure.
Yes. So if you made it so far, if you made it this far through the today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment down below. Let us know, what is your love language? Figure it out and let us know what your love language is.
We would love to hear it. Yes.
And be sure to also share this video with other people as well. So we're going to end it there. We hope to see you in the next video. Thank you so much for spending time with us today in this conversation about the 5 love languages.
Much love, y'all.
Bye.
Peace.